Right, hi everyone. Just a couple of minutes past 7. A few technical issues to start with, which is always good. First of all, I just want to say thank you everyone for getting online, especially this day. It's really hot. I don't know if any of you are in Leicester, but it's really hot in the UK at the moment. So thank you for spending time with me this evening, taking time out of your evening to come and join me on the webinar. So there's lots to get through, so I'm going to get started. First of all, if you can't hear me, well, shall I say, if you can hear me, just there's a little hand bar you should be able to see. Just raise the hand to say that you can hear me. And there's also a question box. Like I said, there's a lot to get through, but if you have any questions, I'm going to come to as many questions as I can at the end. So if you just want to type in the questions box, and I'll answer it at the end. If you can't hear me at the moment, I can see hands have raised up. If you can't hear me at the moment, not to worry too much because it is being recorded and I will be putting it out there on social media and email, etc. So it will be made available on my website as well at some point. So then, let's get started. I can see hands are still going up, so that's great. You can hear me. Right. Okay, so who is Louise Cox? For those of you that don't know me, I'm a qualified Anthony Robbins strategic intervention coach. The last time I checked, there was only approximately 74 of us based in the UK. Anthony Robbins, for those who don't know, is the coach guru in America and the UK, well known in my industry. He gets results and he gets results fast, and that's why I chose to train with him. And he's an amazing inspirational coach. I've been an ambassador for Leicester Businesswomen for the last 4 years until that came to an end this year. They've now stopped. They've now stopped getting government grants, so they no longer exist, unfortunately. But that was a great experience. I'm a qualified personal development coach as well, with first mark distinction with the UK Coaching Academy. And again, there's lots of coaching companies out there, but I chose to obviously qualify with the best. I'm also the author of the upcoming book called The Only Book a Woman Needs, and that should be published later this year. And we're having a book launch, so look out for that, which is really exciting. I support women, and I have done for about 6 years in their relationships and in their personal lives, with their just being happy, basically. And I was recognised for my passion and commitment in helping people and chosen to work with personally by a very successful businessman and coach, a multimillionaire and New York Times bestselling author. And he's the one that's going to write the foreword on my book. So that was terribly exciting because I was selected out of a room of over 100 people at least to go back and have some dinner. There was 20 of us that he'd built this relationship with and decided that they were the people that were passionate and had something unique in their business to actually take forward and actually cared about their clients. So that was amazing. I was the first one to actually be accepted in to his coaching program to expand and stuff like that with my book and whatnot, which was great, a great experience. And I felt like a bit like Lord Sugar at the time, being in front of Lord Sugar, but it was fantastic to be recognised as for my passion and hard work's paying off. So that's a little bit of background about me. I'm also an expert on Joanna Helks. If anybody knows her, Dr. Joanna Helks, she's a private fitness, Zest for Life pregnancy postnatal expert, and I help women on her forum now and again as well. I'm based in Leicester at the Ashley Clinic in Stonygate. I have an office, well, it's not my office, but I basically see my clients at that office. So if anyone wants one-to-ones, I am based there. I've been nominated for 12 awards this year, which is really exciting. Specialist Coach of the Year, Women's Mentor. There's also Courage of the Year, and finally I've been shortlisted, which is terribly exciting again. Very exciting year, to Businesswoman of the Year. There's 333 nominations, and I've managed to get into the top 6 semi-finalists. So enough about blowing my own trumpet, but I just wanted to give you a bit of background about my qualifications, and that I do know what I'm talking about, and that you're not just obviously speaking to anybody, because anybody can unfortunately call themselves a coach because it's not actually regulated as of yet, which I find shocking, bearing in mind you can get a master's degree now in coaching. Okay, so this is me personally then. I mean, that was taken at Christmas, obviously, with my doggy, Ozzy. He's got a Santa's hat on. Doesn't usually walk around like that. You can see the Christmas tree in the background. And me on a cold winter's day, which is completely obviously as we're not feeling today. I'm sat here with my glass of cold iced water, sharing this evening with you. And yeah, so that was in the winter when I took him for a walk, and that's my other half with my lovely dog again. So that's just me and my lovely home life. But it wasn't always like this, and this is why I do what I do, basically. You know, times were difficult. The same person that I was with then, the person that you've just seen, my partner, it was really difficult. We went through really, really hard times for years and years. And this is why I trained in what I do. This is why I couldn't find the answers, unfortunately, through counselling. And I have found the answers with my coaching with Anthony Robbins, and I found my answers with other mentors and coaches with me, and it's just all fit together nicely. And now I help my clients. It's not a quick fix that you can just get it over in 24 hours, but everything that's taught on my course is all there for life. You can literally access it for life, and everything that works is on there. And so it's practice. It's basically taking on board new learning behaviors for yourself and for your relationship. So today what we're going to look at then tonight is 5 stages of the relationship blueprint, which is basically my 5-step blueprint is everything you need in a nutshell to be happy and to be happy in a relationship. So there's 2 parts to it. It's actually about yourself being happy in general and being happy in a relationship, because you can't have, the old saying is true, a relationship unless you are happy within yourself. We're going to look at some of the common problems and facts of relationships that relationships face today, and some successful tools that you can start using straight away in your life and your relationships. I can see some people are just coming on. Obviously, I've got started. It is recorded, so you can catch up with the beginning. I'll say if you have any questions, please pop them in the question box, and I'll try and answer as many as I can at the end. Okay, so yeah, that's what we're going to look at today. So some successful tools as well that you can start using straight away in your life and relationship, and look out for relationships, should I say, and look out for the positives that you get from just this free webinar, because basically relationships, you can use these tools whether you're in a relationship or not. You can actually use what I teach in all relationships, whether it's with your mom, dad, your friends, your work colleagues. There's things that I teach that are relationships in general, which you'll find out if you do ever take my one of my courses. But stick around till the end of this, by the way, because I've got a free little video for you to have a look at, which I've added on the end of the presentation. So do hang around. If you've got to go, come back to it later on, because it's really worth a while of the sort of tools that I will use in a relationship situation as in love relationship. Okay, so this is the 5-step blueprint then that I've created personally, and this is mine in a nutshell. What works for me, what works for my clients, and I like to see it as I absolutely can is what it stands for. Because number 1 is identify, and that's about identifying what's going on and your identity as well. Number 2 is accept. Number 3 is communicate. Number 4 is attract, and number 5 is nurture. And I'll go on to explain a little bit more about that now. Sorry if my mouse is going all over the screen, by the way, but in my screen, you can't see it, but my screen loses sight of the next arrow, which I have to click on. So we'll look at that 5-step blueprint in more detail in just a moment. But first of all, some facts then. 42% of marriages will end in divorce. And there are more breakups, unfortunately, in single people than ever. And yeah, it's great being single, don't get me wrong. This is what I mean. You should be happy on your own. You shouldn't have to have somebody to actually complete you and who you are as a person. But to complete you as in fulfillment, everybody deserves to have somebody in their life, and everybody is probably in denial or accepted on a comfortable level that they want to be on their own. But it's not something that the human nature, the human person wants to, obviously all humans, should I say, want to do. They don't start out in life wanting to be alone. We're just made to connect with other people. Men, women and science, we're completely different. It's a fact, and people just seem to not get it at all, and we'll look a bit about that, more on that in a bit. And most relationships, they don't have to end because they don't end through lack of love. They lack of through understanding and lack of polarity. What do I mean by polarity? I mean the connection, the fire, the physical side of it. Because once you've not understood each other and you start to argue and drift, you're not going to have that spark anymore. But underlying is always the love, majority of cases. And it's when people say, oh, it takes more to life than love to make it work. Well, actually, it doesn't. If you've still got love, you've got a chance. You just have to have the understanding and the polarity that comes with it naturally. A relationship also needs things in common, obviously, but we need differences to create passion. This is what I mean. People, and myself included, were on the verge of splitting up because we thought, oh, we're incompatible, we're too different. But you're drawn together with that person because of your differences. That's the reason why people get together in the first place, is because opposites attract. If somebody was like you, it'd be boring. Life would be boring. And people make the mistake of thinking, oh, we're too different. And actually, the things in common you need to have. It's no point if like one person is going to sit there and want things in future that the other person doesn't as a couple, because that's just not going to happen, is it? So things in common are important for a connection as well, but don't be disillusioned that differences are wrong in your relationship, because if you have just things in common and no differences, it becomes very stale, very stagnant, and very brother and sisterly like, and that's a very settled relationship. As in not settled as in content, as in settled for. We don't want that. And everyone is different, but like I said, we all want love. Without intimate love, we will always feel like there's something missing. I don't care what anybody says in this world, we will always feel like something's missing. And anybody, I believe, my personally believes, that says otherwise is just in denial to themselves. So some of the problems we face today is this modern day and age. There's too much going on. There's too much choices, what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing. I mean, we're always on our iPhones. We're always on social media. We've always got so much to do. And so the stress of modern day and age is overbearing a lot of the time. There's more demands on us at work and stuff like that. Women and men are confused as to what a good relationship is meant to be. Because, you go on social media sites and they say, oh, if he loved me, he would do this, and perfect movie love and all of this sort of stuff. I've got perfect movie love. I've always had my perfect movie love. Don't get me wrong, I don't come home every day and we act like prince and princess. But what I'm saying is that spark of that feeling will never go. And that's what you want to strive for. And it sometimes can feel like you're doing all the work. I mean, the amount of women that come to me and say, oh, he needs to do this, he should do that. It takes two. Of course it takes two. But you're not understanding the other person. You're not understanding men and women differences. And we're going to get onto that a bit later. There's a common pattern that I see all the time with clients. Everybody's the same, and it's just misunderstandings of men and women, and they get it for a while and then they come back and to me, because they're still seeing me, not that they've gone away and come back, but they get it for a while and a couple of days or whatever go by, and then they'll come and say it again. And it's about educating. This is the way it is. It's a fact. This isn't something that you can maneuver on, and I'll explain that more as we go along. So it can sometimes feel like you're doing all the work, but it doesn't have to always be the case. It won't end up the case if you take on board everything you're taught, because trust me, I don't do all the work in my relationship, and nor do my clients. So most relationships do have the ability to last, like I say. They just need the tools and understanding. So introducing the blueprint then, as a little introduction, I'm going to talk through each of the steps, and this is why I didn't dwell on it at the beginning as to what they actually stand for. So identifying what a healthy relationship looks like is under identify. Identifying with you and where you are at and what your situation is now is what we'd look at. Identifying if you are with the right person for you, because not everybody is with the right person, and that becomes clear once obviously you've taken the 5-step blueprint course. Identifying why it's not working or why it can go wrong, and look at the general aspects of that and the commonalities there. And identifying your identity, keeping that identity, which is so important. How many people say, oh, I lost my identity when I was in a relationship? Oh, I've lost my little... There you are. I've lost my little arrow again. So one of the things about identifying then is the focus, because people don't realise how strong focus is. because what you think is what you feel, and it's how you act. Okay. And that becomes your model of the world. That becomes your belief. Doesn't exactly mean it's the truth, but beliefs are a strong thing. It's not a fact or fiction, it's a belief. So for example, if I think that somebody hasn't texted me, like my clients always say, oh, he hasn't texted me, he doesn't love me anymore. Like if he did, he would have done that. Then they feel a certain emotion, and then they act on that emotion, which is usually with great sadness or anger. And their view of the world is that he doesn't give a crap. That's not necessarily true. It's just what they're focused on and what they're thinking. And this is something that we really look at in depth, because where you focus on, trust me, will be your answer anyway. You will dwell on that, and that will be the way it is. I mean, that is the way the human brain works. If you need a wee and you're on the bus and you're dying for a wee, you will hold it until you walk through that door. And when you get through that door, you're dancing around like you've got ants in your pants, and you can't hold it any longer because the brain lets go. The brain's a powerful thing. If you buy a new car and it's red and it's a Peugeot, you will see that new car, that same spec, that same model, and that same red Peugeot everywhere. If you can't have a child and everyone else around you seems to be having children, that's what you'll see. You'll see babies everywhere. If you go over to a funeral, you'll see funeral cards everywhere. It's the way that the brain functions, and it doesn't function on what you don't want. It doesn't function on what you want, by the way. If you focus on what you don't want, it doesn't hear the fact that you don't want it. So if I said do not picture a pink elephant, the brain doesn't even hear the word don't, it just pictures the pink elephant. And it's not airy fairy nonsense. That's one thing I don't deal with, but it is the truth. It is the absolute truth. So if your relationship is going through a sore point at the moment, and you're very much focusing on what you're not getting from the relationship, you're going to get more of that, because that will become clear if you decide to obviously come along and have we'll discuss at the end of what I'm offering today, but you will become clear as to why that is the case for you. Because at the end of the day, you'll be probably saying to your partner, this is what's not happening, this is what's not happening. And as a man, he won't hear it. He'll just hear that he's a failure, and you'll get more of it, basically. He's not going to turn around and give you what you want, because men don't function like that. Okay, so there are 4 levels of love as well, and we've not got time to go through them all today. But one of them is called the horse trade, and I've put this up there. It's because basically this is where most couples are stuck at their whole lives, and this is the most challenging to break out of, because as women, we are born a certain way. Men are different. So, for example, Jennifer Lopez had 2 twins. One was a boy, one was a girl. Twins, both born at the same time, obviously. One of them she learned from the beginning, learned in a very different way to how the other. So, for example, the boy would be more boisterous and throw himself down the stairs and try and crawl back up, even if he'd fall down, and try again. He wasn't scared, whereas the girl would think about it more and take more steps and be cautious. So we'll talk about that in a second, but the brains are very different. So this is what is challenging to get out of, because for women it can feel like everything in their power is being a woman, and that their identity as a woman is being taken away from them if they're trying to understand and be like a man, because they can't get it. But the men are the same way. If a man comes to me, they're trying to think like a man, and I have to say this is how a woman is. So it's not that I'm on men's side, but majority of my clients are women, because again, we express differently. We are different. So I'm going to teach you how men think, because if a man comes to me, I'm going to teach them how women think. I'm working on the men's side at the moment, and my second book will be for a man, and more men are approaching me. Men like to solve their own issues a lot of the time, which is why more majority of women come to me. But the modern man is starting to learn and break through and come more to my seminars and stuff, which is absolutely amazing. And I say amazing because it is not built within them to do so. It is built within them to fix their own things, not to have to seek help. So it's a huge identity crisis for a man to actually face. Some men are more in touch with their feminine side and more comfortable with it. But again, that's a separate thing that we'll discuss in a little while, and a separate issue that I could discuss in depth with you if you wanted a one-to-one chat or anything like that. So identifying is all about this sort of stuff that we look at, and we identify your personal level. So a healthy relationship, then, in a nutshell, is about staying on your own path. So you're merrily walking along your path, and if you meet somebody and you do have that fortunate cherry on the top of the cake, as I call it, or icing on the top of the cake, then you've got somebody walking alongside you on their path. So you've got your identity and that other person's got their identity. And by the way, women and women together have been my clients as well. Same-sex couples have been my clients as well. And there is a difference between men and women's brain, scientific fact, but there is also different dynamics of relationships, like I said, differences and not being people being the same. And there was also people that are more in touch with their feminine side and more in touch, and others more in touch with their masculine side. So this work that I do helps all couples. So back to this then. So you're merrily walking along side by side. That's how a healthy relationship is. This is where it can go wrong. You cross over to their path, so you're both on the same side of their path. It's a no-go. So people think soulmates, two become one. Sometimes it works. Sometimes people are very lucky and they find their soulmate and it just clicks and everything runs smoothly. This obviously, of course, isn't for them. They can become like brother and sister in content. They might not. I don't know. I've never actually had that happen to me. I've had relationship patterns and problems over and over again, or I've had it's ended up like brother and sister and I don't feel that way. So I'm talking to those people that have problems with their relationships. And this is what the problem, when you have that spark with somebody, in my client's experience, in my experience, and you cross over to their path, it doesn't work. And you end up eventually losing yourself and going your separate ways, drifting. And you can end up feeling a bit like a lost sheep at the end of it and saying, well, what happened to me? You know, oh, I was so much happier before. I've lost my identity. It can feel like a relief for a while as well. Like, oh, you know, can't believe it now. I've been away from him for 2 weeks and it's such a relief, weight off my shoulders, and I feel like I've got me back again. And I just was suppressed. You know, this is the sort of things that I hear. But then suddenly after a couple more weeks, the sadness kicks in and the missing kicks in and the realization of where it really went wrong and how they possibly could have tried a little bit differently, if not harder, or how they were probably the other person was misunderstanding them in some sort of way. And it's a shame because, like I say, if the love's still there, it shouldn't get to that stage. So number 2 of the blueprint then is about accept. And this is the massive thing that people can't accept. They have to accept it. Male and female brains are different. Male and female brains are different. And I'm sorry to say that in such a sarcastic manner, but I say this over and over again because it's a scientific fact. So people going, oh, but he doesn't do this, Lou, and he doesn't think like this, and why didn't he do that, Lou? You are disputing facts, right? If I get up from my chair right now and I'm standing, it's a fact I'm standing up. You know, you cannot dispute facts. And this is a scientific fact, and men and women need to learn this. It's like telling my dog to behave like a cat, meow like a cat, you know, and it's a stupid analogy, but dogs are dogs and a cat's a cat. And that's the way you have to see it. I'm not saying men are dogs or we're dogs, you know, don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but it's the truth that, you know, we are different. And then there's the masculine and female energy differences. And some men, like I say, you'll all know some men are more in touch with their feminine side. Some men will notice more things than other men will notice. For example, I know men that will notice things like I've not had my eyebrows done or my nails done. My other half couldn't think there's more anything girly than that in his life. He wouldn't even notice anything like that. So it's about the differences in people as well. We are all the same in what we want, but it's about getting to know the person that you're with and who you want to be with. And relationship dynamics, like I say, is completely like same-sex couples an example here, but it's with every couple as well. Like, what is the dynamics of your relationship? It's about actually drilling home to that point. And of course, the 6 human needs psychology. If any of you know the Anthony Robbins coach that I've talked about, that's something that we look at, and I'll talk a bit about that later on. So some of the scientific facts are that we process language differently. So females use both the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Men don't. Okay, so the brain allows us to think and drive our emotions, and women are a lot more emotional, as in expressive, not emotional and sensitive, because I would argue men are actually more and will hold things more in and take things in, when we can very much as women feel in the moment, you know, that's it, I hate it, it's over, can't be dealing with this anymore, and you're serious and you mean it at the time. Sometimes you don't, you're lashing out, but then later on in a day or so you can change your mind. Whereas a lot of guys will very much be like fact and fiction driven. There's no grey area in their decision making. So they will take an emotion really personally. If you say it's over, they'll believe everything you say. And they won't be messing around with it. And then if you say the next day, oh, I didn't mean it, they'll be like lost and confused the hell out of. And to a woman will be like, well, what's the issue? So the ability to identify and control emotions varies between sexes. And, you know, comedians make a living out of this. Let me just take a sip of water. Excuse me, it's too hot in here. Comedians make a living, you know, oh, you know, she's a nag bag, you know, she talks too much, da, da, da. And we all laugh when we get to the, well, if you've got that humour, I laugh. I sit there actually pissing myself because I just think, yeah, this is me all over. You know, I'm a woman, I'm not going to deny myself a woman. And my other half looks at me and just raises his eyebrows and goes, yeah, that's you. But at the end of the day, comedians make the money out of this because it's a fact, but we don't laugh so much when it becomes an argument. It's not so funny, and this is why we need help in our relationships. We're not taught at school. This is the difference in females and men. We're taught about, you know, the human autonomy, the differences in sexes physically and all of this sort of stuff. We're not taught that from generations before us what the actual issues are. And that's a shame because, well, we can see why we've not been taught, because let's look at years ago before feminism existed. You know, men called the shots. Men were the ones that went out and got the bread, and the women just put up and shut up. And, you know, thank God times change. Women are business people now, like myself. You know, women are given opportunities. It can go too far the other way, and men are like, ooh, what the hell's going on now? They're confused. But at the end of the day, you can see why this has not come up from generation to generation as to men teaching their sons, oh, this is what women are like, or this is how you've got to treat a woman in the way that they think, and women teaching their daughters, this is how men are. It's not going to happen. And this is where people like myself love my job, because this is where I can get to help to change that, even if it's just a few clients I'm happy with that I've changed their lives in thinking. So it's about making a real difference. So also under accept, you know, we look at things like this, and men think in boxes. So for example, and men have agreed with me. I have men come up to me at business events all the time. I've done seminars where men have sat in the room and rated, you know, given me feedback on my feedback forms, and they're saying it's accurate. They don't sit there and say, yeah, she's wrong, she's criticising us. That's not what it's about. It's not about criticising the man at all. Men think in boxes, and the reason I put boxes as this analogy is because they open one box at a time and they can't cross that box over. So boxes with other boxes. So for example, if you're talking to them about your day at work, they'll be focused on that. If you then suddenly change your conversation and bring in your sister, and, you know, she said this, and then suddenly you go on a tangent and you're involved in something else, which women can do. We are very good at multitasking. We know that as women. 2013 studies say it. You know, we try and be superwoman. We're overwhelmed in this modern day and age. That's under identify as well. It's a different story. It's about looking after you. But at the same time, you know, we can do all that, but men will be like, whoa, 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 which box have I got now? And, you know, I use this phrase because a client said that to me, that her husband said quite a while back. She said, oh, you know, my husband said men think in boxes. I thought that's such a great analogy, because that is exactly what it is like. You know, it took me years to get happy and figure it all out. So take my wisdom. So, you know, what men tell me, two common things I hear all the time is, I need you to speak to my wife. And what I don't understand is, for example, and give her a solution. She's going on about a problem at work, and then she doesn't want to know my answer. You know, men love to give you the answer and the solution, but we don't want the solution half the time. We just want to be heard. We just want to be listened, right? As women, we don't want someone to just try and be solving it for us all the time. They don't get it. They think that we're crazy like that. So this is common things I hear all the time. And it's like the common things that I hear with women. You know, he doesn't do this, Louise, and he should do this. And why isn't he pulling his weight? I'm sick of trying. You know, we have to start to understand the opposite sex and the person that we're with. So, you know, for example, one of the businessmen that came up to me and said about his wife that he tries to give her a solution, after a 10-minute chat with me, he understood women so much more. And he goes, I get it. And he took my card and he said, I want to come and see you if I ever have problems again, just after a 10-15 minute conversation. But men aren't going to seek me out. You see, he just came and chatted to me at a business event. But usually men don't approach a coach. Majority. That's the sad part about it. Like I say, it's starting to change from what I can see. And this is why I always aim my target audience at women, because they're 90% of my audience. So going back to masculine and female energy, then we need both masculine and female energy. Some have more masculine in us than others. Well, we all have masculine. For example, we need to stand up for ourselves at work. That's just one way. And you know, men have more feminine experience through life experiences, sometimes more feminine side to them. That could be upbringing as well. But we need a fine balance of this combination of strength and vulnerability to work. A relationship is so paramount. So it's about what sort of relationship you want as well. You know, do you want to be with somebody that's really, really masculine, but then you're going to complain that they're not very romantic? Do you want to be with somebody that's a bit more feminine, that's more softer, and you know, that you're laid back with, and you don't need that fire and that manly side? So there are lots of different examples of female and male masculine energy, but it's just something to think about as to where you might be at. So what a man needs to do every day, and again, men have all agreed with me when I've put this out there, is they need time out each day to just do nothing. And that's usually if they come home from work, they need that time out. And it doesn't necessarily have to be watching the TV. Most men, like my men, can't watch the TV and talk to you at the same time. I used to find that very personally, I was put last and he was just focused on the TV, and it used to drive me crazy until I learned about men and what they actually need. And I didn't learn from him, by the way. I learned through my own studies, being fascinated with the differences and dynamics of relationships and male and females. So they won't be able to multitask and do things at the same time. It's so important for them to have that downtime. This is why arguments can come into it when there's children in the family as well, when the woman's been with a child all day and the baby all day, and mum walks through the door, she wants to hand the baby over, and then man just wants that 5 minutes out, and she's like, are you kidding me? You know, and you know, that can become into a compromise, that you can have that time out later on. But it's about awareness. This 5-step blueprint is about awareness and what they actually need every day. And this might be fixing their car. They might see that as, or washing their car as time out, or going golf, or doing something that they enjoy. But they need to have this zone out period, because they have this ability of actually thinking nothing. If you think about how our brains think all the time when you're lying in bed before you drift off, you know, you're thinking anything really. It could be from the shopping list to anything. You can think. You have this amazing way to think. Unless you're very masculine brain and you're more masculine, most women will have that ability to think a lot. And I'd love to be a man to a certain degree, because in this respect anyway, because it's like watching that Microsoft Windows display that just, you know, that sort of just hits the screen. The old Microsoft Windows goes from corner to corner. That's how a man can literally switch off. They can think of nothing, and they can't believe that a woman actually can't do the same. So you know, what she needs is to be heard, to be understood. Like I say, we don't always want fixing, and we need to know that we're a priority, and we need to be given attention as well, because if we're not getting attention, then it's against our female ways, and this is what men don't get. So another thing we look at again is what I said to you we were going to get to, which is the 6 human needs psychology. And at the end of this webinar, there will be a little video on this that you can watch in your own time. So it's the why we do what we do, and this explains everything why we do what we do. This is not, the 6 human needs isn't just about the relationships. It's a fascinating area, and you can actually look it up on Google, but it doesn't actually explain to you, obviously, everything about your life, which is something that my bootcamp does. And obviously another coach that's Anthony Robbins trained would go into. But these are the 6 human needs: love and connection, variety, certainty, growth, contribution, and significance. And Anthony Robbins has nailed it really with this, because I'm thinking, oh, is the one missing? But I can't find it. I'm a perfectionist myself. And I've highlighted certainty there because presence, attention, and priority is something that I've just mentioned women love to have. And that's why a lot of the time we want love and connection as number one and put that first, but we actually put certainty first. And if we're not certain, we start to doubt the man. And I've put 6 there as well, number 6, significance, standing out, important to men, because they do need to feel significant. They need to feel like that they mean something as well. So for example, if you're complaining to him about what he's not doing all the time and what you're not getting, he's not going to hear, oh, I'll do the opposite. He's hearing that he's insignificant, and that is huge to men. And this is too in depth to go into right now, but there is so much to do with the 6 human needs psychology, which would blow your mind. It's just one of those things that this is just the tip of the iceberg, what I've just shared with you. That's to do with a relationship example, but you could actually really drill down into these and see what's missing in your life from these needs, because we all need to meet these needs. But if we'd have them in a certain order and change our mindset, they will all come naturally anyway. It's just the fact that we're in habits and what we've learned in our experiences in life in childhood and stuff, that we get into habits of living a certain way, not realizing that we're in our own bubble. That's why I say when people fall out of relationships, they're then like, oh, I didn't realize that went wrong. So it's about accepting our different priorities of needs. And let me tell you something, if you meet all of the needs at 8 to 10, which what I mean is, say, for example, how much are you getting love and connection right now from 1 to 10, 10 being the most? If you're a 5, oh, not really much, then you're not getting your needs met. So if we look at it from a relationship perspective, if you're meeting all the needs of your partners from 8s to 10s and they're high, they're not going anywhere, and they will automatically meet your needs back anyway. Not that we should give to get. That's another area. This is a fine balance. But this is very simple. I used to look at these 6 human needs and think, I'm not getting love and connection, I'm not getting variety, I'm not getting certainty. Well, I'm getting variety in the fact that I'm arguing. I'm not getting growth, we're not going anywhere, we're not contributing to each other, and we're certainly not feeling significant and important to each other. Now I can look at these and say, yep. And if something's going wrong in my relationship, I'm like, oh, what am I missing? What's going on? Oh, there's something going on, as in I'm not getting enough variety here. He's not coming out with me on dates enough and being spontaneous and stuff like that. So it really is a fascinating area that Mr. Tony Robbins has discovered. So number 3 then of the blueprint is communicate. And communication is key, obviously. Everybody in a relationship knows that. It's not rocket science. But learning to compromise is the massive part between learning to control. You know, once you're trying to control something in your relationship, it is most certainly going to go wrong. And women, we do this all the time without even knowing it. So you will have tried to control a situation and control whether he still pays you enough attention and get that reassurance. Something like that would have gone on, or whether you're in a same-sex couple, same thing could have happened. So the communication strategy is something that we look at, and that is how you communicate. You know, telling him what he isn't doing, I've touched upon, will get you just more of it. You know, he will focus away, work, friends, sports, whatever it is, he will focus away if he's not feeling significant. He won't give you what you want as a woman. He doesn't function the same way. But all is not lost once he understands you. You see, he won't understand you and you won't understand him as much as you click at the beginning. And this is the thing about relationships. So one of the things that we can look at as well is called the Crazy 8. Again, copyrights of Anthony Robbins, but I have to mention that. But if you are arguing a lot, you'll most likely be stuck in this Crazy 8. And he calls it a Crazy 8 because it's like it's a figure 8 on its side, sorry. What normally happens in a relationship, if you've got 2 very different people, you'll have one person that responds to an argument differently to the other. So one person might steer to the right there and become angry, hostile, unresponsive, cold, frustrated, and you think, God, don't know him or her anymore. And the other one might start off sad, emotional, lonely, crying, abandoned, depressed. And if you are like that, then the human body can only go so long before it can't cope anymore, so it'll switch. So that's what the arrows mean, that then the sad person will go over to the hostile, and the hostile, angry person will go over to being sad and quiet or whatever and feeling lonely and emotional. And suddenly you're going round and round and round in this Crazy 8 and you can't get out of it. So the way people tend to get out of it is they fall down where I've put the lower arrow to distraction. So this can be anything from positive distraction to going gym and whatnot, climbing a bloody mountain. You know, that's what my guy used to do. I used to think, oh, he doesn't care. He's just gone off with the lads to climb his mountain, or he's gone to the gym. Actually, that was his way of dealing with it. I was expecting him to think and feel everything like me. But then there's a positive way out as well, which is change your rules of the world, change your belief. Remember the focus on the think, feel, and act. Change your understanding. Another thing that I didn't mention just then that I missed was some people go on a destructive behavior cycle when they go into a distraction, so they can go and get drunk or drugs or whatever, anything to get them out of the situation that's time out, which is not going to get them anywhere. So be aware that, you know, as you go through this sort of stuff, you might be thinking, oh God, that could be me. You know, it's something to be aware of. How to get out of it is you have to do something different. Doing the same things over and again is the definition of insanity. It won't give you anything different. If you've tried it and it doesn't work, get rid of it. Don't do it again. Okay, so we look at avoiding arguments in that session as well. And a tip for this is to say, you know, with any argument or with any heated debate, it doesn't have to turn into an argument if you say these things. Like, you could be chatting to your boss, but, you know, if you just say, I hear you, because the person wants to be heard. You know, I respect you. This is how I feel. My opinion is not, but this is what I think, but you're wrong. You know, we can't change what other people think and feel. We have to respect and hear their side, and we might not agree with them. We can say, oh, I agree to disagree. This is how I feel. But as soon as you say, I agree, I hear you, I respect you, they calm down anyway. So this is a tip, because you will then be respected and heard. Because if you start shouting one over the other and getting defensive, nobody is listening. Nobody's going to hear you. Nobody's going to take it seriously, because they're going to go into defense mode. So number 4 then of the blueprint is attract. So this is, again, just an overview of all of the blueprint. There's a lot to cover, and this is just an overview. So you can imagine what my boot camp basically, which some of you may have heard of, Relation Fit Bootcamp, is the whole 5 blueprint, the whole 5 steps, broken down into a course. But I'll talk to you a bit about that in a moment. So number 4 then is attract, and in this section we basically, in a nutshell, look at how to attract what you want in your life. Come on, Mr. Blue Arrow. Okay, so one tip is to attract what you like is be independent, be happy, have that identify that I've talked about in the future. You know, look at gratitude as well. You know, express the gratitude to what that person's doing, especially men. They are highly sensitive. They love to hear gratitude if they've done something, you know, like simple things like empty the dishwasher, you know, oh, thanks for doing that, and giving them a kiss. You'll see them smile and light up. Men love that attention too. I mean, one woman heckled me once and said, well, they don't thank me for emptying the dishwasher. Well, that's, again, a man's way is they're not going to think the priority is going to empty the dishwasher. They're not going to think away. They have to be educated as to how women think. But any sort of gratitude in a relationship towards a man is going to get him to want to do more for you anyway. To tell him you haven't done something will just make him think, oh, she's having a go at me again, I'm a failure. It sounds really pathetic to women, but that's the way they function. So I've told you a little bit about men today. But they love that presence, they love significance, and they love to make you happy, and that's why it's not a horrible, pathetic thing. It's actually they like to please you. Men want to please their woman. If they're in love and they love you, they're there for a reason. They're very matter of fact. They don't have to be there. They will leave you if they don't love you. They will leave you. So they're there for a reason, but their purpose is to make you happy. And if they can't, they'll go within the shell or withdraw, whatever their way is. So, yeah, they will then start showing you attention and presence, you see, because it'll automatically come to them because they want to make you happy. So, attract then, I mean, this is completely attractive to a man. It's the best makeup a girl can wear. You know, some people are very cynical about men, and men think with their bits and all this sort of stuff. Well, let me tell you something, that is not actually true with men that want to settle down. You get your players in women, you get your players in men. I'm talking about the guys that are good guys, want to settle down. This is the best makeup a girl can wear. And body language is everything. If you're going around stropping, and physiology, confident is a very attractive thing. Happy woman that's independent is a very attractive thing. So if you are single at the moment and thinking, why can't I attract a man? Go out smiling and be happy with yourself, and actually find yourself and make sure you're happy with yourself. You won't even have to think about attracting a man. They will just come along. There is some cycle, if that's not happening for you, that you're stuck in. So number 5 of the blueprint is nurture. And I love this quote. My mother always told me that, happiness was the means for life. It is. They didn't understand him at school when they said, what's your ultimate goal, or whatever it says here. Wrote down he wants to be happy. Isn't that what everyone wants? And this is what nurture is about. It's about keeping the sustainability, keeping the magic going, staying happy. Again, the acceptance part is the most challenging part of the relationship. And this is the next part as well, nurture. If you're doing number 1 to 4 of the blueprint, number 5 will come automatically anyway. That is nurturing 1, 2, 3, and 4. So any past issues have to be dealt with in order for a relationship to be nurtured. Otherwise, you're dealing with yesterday's news, and what is the point of that? Where are you going? It's not going forward, that's for sure. It's like holding a bag with bricks that are weighing you back on a rucksack, pulling you backwards. You're not going to be able to move forward. And under nurture, we look at where it can still go wrong at this stage and whether it is meant to be for you. And also, again, what I've just said, you need to keep hold of 1, 2, 3, and 4 for a relationship to be grown and nurtured. You can't just scrap it. It's an ongoing process. And this is the advantage of my course, because you can access, once you're in, you can access it for life. So 80% of what we learn, we forget. And this is what I mean. You can't just take on board what someone says and goes, oh yeah, I heard this webinar last night and she made a few good points, because this time next week you will forget it. It's the same with an exam at school. I'm 35. I can't remember what I passed my exams, but I couldn't tell you what I learned. So 80% of what we do learn, we forget. So we have to be living, breathing, and acting out what we want in life. So if you go to a job and you're physically doing the job, you'll know the job off by heart. So hence the quote there from the great Bruce Lee. But I'll give you a tip. Giving must feel good. If you're feeling taken for granted, and you're giving for the sake of it to try and get back, that's a trade, that's a contract, that's the horse trade. When you give someone a gift, it's simple analogy, because it feels good, right? You unless you don't like the person, you feel, oh, I've wasted my money. You're doing it because you want to. So you shouldn't be people pleasing, and giving should feel good. So you shouldn't be giving even to your partner if it doesn't feel good. You have to look after you in that way. So results then, boot camp is the quickest way to get results. That's why I call it boot camp, because it's the quickest way to learn. If you wanted to get on the horse and ride quickly, is what I'm saying, it's all there for you to learn. And if you're in pain, you can stop that pain and get the relationship you deserve. And all you need to do is study hard, and you'll realize exactly what's going on for you in your relationship. And the guy doesn't have to be present. One thing about couples that go to relate is they drag their other half there, usually the man, and one of them doesn't want to go, and it's usually the man. Not always the case. So if you take somebody and say, you need counselling, you need to come to this boot camp session, you need to be the one that, it's not going to work. Somebody's got to want to do it themselves. Someone's got to make the decision themselves. You can't force someone into doing stuff, especially if a man's trying to work it out and fix his own problems. Men are fixers. They like to fix their own stuff. So they're just going to sit there and not be present within, and not be honest with themselves, and just feel withdrawn and feel like they've been told what to do. And their mums used to tell them what to do. They don't look for that in a partner. They can have that sort of banter and masculine energy with the boys down the pub or whatever, but they don't really want that at all times with their woman. You can be a feisty woman, don't get me wrong, I'm no pushover, but they don't want to have clashes like the masculine energy. They love to look after you and have that vulnerability and know that you're feeling good because of them. So boot camp is about learning all of that without him actually being present. He doesn't have to be there. So Relationship Fit Bootcamp is what I'm offering, and I did Relationship Fit Bootcamp as an online live course, which was 8 weeks, and I was intending to carrying on each live course each time. But then once I'd done one, I'd pre-recorded all of the sessions, and I thought, you know what? Why am I actually not giving the opportunity for people? Because I will do another live one. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but I thought if I pre-recorded them, I can package this up as an online course so people can do it in their own time. What with the modern day stress of living, people don't sometimes want to be tied down to, oh, I've got to be with Louise every Thursday for the next 8 weeks, you know. So it's that way of being an online course that I've packaged up, and it can be, once you've got the login, you're in for life and you've got that support for life. So this is what the course covers. You gain clarity of what you want. You learn the art of communication. You'll understand his behavior and he will start to understand yours, because once one person starts heartfelt understanding from their truth, the other person will always mirror. People mirror people. You know, you try whispering to somebody tomorrow at work, they'll probably go, what? And whisper back. You'll feel happier, you feel understood, you'll feel supported, you'll feel love and connection. You'll start to really break it down as to, you know, what is really going on. You will realise how loved you probably are in your situation. If you're not, then you'll work out the thing you need to get out. You'll realise what you deserve. You'll feel content and feel balanced and in control of your life. You'll feel freer, you'll feel improved relationships all around, because it will dominate your whole life, not just if you're not, you know, if you're in a relationship, but I'm talking about work, everything. These will be tools for life. And you'll discover, you know, how men think, the true purpose, what is most important to him and why. You'll have so much discovery about the male brain, why he does the things he does, and it may not be what you think, what he wants from you, why positive affirmations don't work. You know, we see these positive quotes, they just don't work. Why you can end up feeling out of control, why your relationship is tested when children come along, and how to avoid that. The 5-step blueprint, then, what we'll cover will be the whole system for maintaining a great relationship, which will include the following. You know, the 6 human needs, the truth about men and sex, why some men and women have affairs, why you may stop being his priority and how to turn that around, why men sometimes don't seem to give a damn, why he doesn't do what you ask, why he withdraws his love, why he may not understand you and your needs. And we've touched upon some of this today. Why he starts listening, when he will avoid you at all costs, and what they really hate and struggle to recover from. And by the end of it, you will have the tools to know if he does care, know how to attract him and keep him, you know, or any relationship, if that's what you're looking for, the golden rules for singles, how to help him understand you, how to connect with him, how to avoid those arguments and stop them from escalating and recover quickly. You know, understand how he interprets your style of communication, keep your own identity through the whole process and maintain your time better. So it's about you looking after you, and protect yourself from any suffering. You know, in life there will always be pain, but you don't have to suffer and go through the same patterns over and over again and end up being cynical about men or relationships. You'll learn how to sustain a happy relationship and reach that ultimate unconditional love, and you'll have all the tools to do that. So it's just down to you to put them into practice, and you'll learn how to get the relationship that you want. So you will also know what to do if it goes pear-shaped, and if he walks out and turns cold or gets angry. You'll learn what never to do that will just cause you more pain, and what men really look for in women, when it may be time to call it a day. You'll learn that as well. Myths about men and facts, what stops men from committing, and what your preferred styles of love are. You'll understand his even without him being present. So how much is this then? The total cost of the bootcamp was reduced to this price because it was an online, not live session, but pre-recorded. So the fact is that I don't have to be there every single week at a certain time. I will still be there in the background. However, your discount today is $197 plus bonuses, and you can pay installments if you wish. So if you do decide to commit today, then you can contact me after this and I'll give you my email address at the end, and pay instalments if you wish. And with that, you get all the pre-recordings, and you basically do it at your own pace. You'll also get a live toolkit on CD if you prefer, or MP3. It will automatically be there when you log in anyway to listen to, and that's provided to my one-to-one clients, and that's a worth value of £97. You'll get access to a private Facebook forum where you can access me and peers, and have a buddy up system if you like, and that again is all the access for any questions to me is £97. Recorded live sessions are available all times, so obviously this was for the last bootcamp, but if you miss anything, you're not going to miss anything. It's all there. So all you need to do is commit to it, and commit to your assignments, and basically the rest is history. If you implement what you learn, you'll see results, and you'll see them fast as well. It can change. A relationship can change in a snap. It's the habits that we're in that are difficult to change. But if you put it to the test just for 24 hours, you'll see a difference. And all I ask is for a testimonial to be provided afterwards. So if within 48 hours, that's meant to say not days, you do not think that it's for you, so if you log in and think, you know what, this isn't for me, I've gone through the first couple of recordings and this isn't for me, and the homework's not for me, then you'll get 100% refund, no problem about it. If first of all women commit today, show that commitment to themselves, then as a gift to you, I will add the bonus on of a live 60-minute call between me and you, personal, and that's normally at my going rate, which is quite high, so that's an added bonus. So with that, just so you know, I am available throughout bootcamp on email and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, a one-to-one with me is an extra bonus. So all these bonuses are worth way over £400. So here's a couple of testimonials then. Robin, she was stuck in the midst of like major stresses, panic, as she says. You know, she was just in a state when she came to me. And bless her, she gave me this great little testimonial afterwards. This is just a part of it. And another client of mine that saw very quick results in her life. Within 3 weeks, a lot of her life had changed, and she's the most confident woman now that I've ever seen as well, personally speaking. And very different to when she first came to me. And this is just a chunk of a long testimonial that I got from somebody that was just brilliant. You know, by week 3, my relationship turned around, her wedding ring went back on. And this is like years and years of hell in the marriage. And it just goes to show that things can change very quickly. But if you don't continue to nurture it, which is what you can do with bootcamp, because you can log in at any time throughout your life access, then it can soon fall back. But again, once they get it, and they're high and living life to the full. Just another testimonial there then, definitely recommend me, which is lovely of Kay. And there's just a few, and at the end of this I will be sharing a link with you where there's a video testimonial of one of my latest clients as well. So to join the 5-step relationship bootcamp then, just to remind you, is £197 with that low cost, and it's so worth it because it's all on there, and I've discounted it, especially because it's not a live thing every week, which to be honest is more from the feedback I've got from clients, the ones that have done the bootcamp and still have that membership for life. It's been more beneficial to them to actually do it in their own time as well. You will be remaining accountable as well, because you'll have the homework to do and have to report back to me. So it's not a case that you just go and do it and never do the course, because you will be responsible no matter when you do it to send me that homework through, and I'll be feeding back to you. So it's not a case of me not holding your hand. I will be there to support you through the whole thing. So you'll get, as soon as you join, you'll get the option of how you want to pay, which you can discuss with me, and then you get the login details to the private members forum, and that will be for life, not just for like the 6 weeks or however long you decide to do it. And it's basically recordings of all of the sessions and all of the homework that you'll be given, and all of the 6 human needs and what that lot explained, etc. What I've just gone over. And I said I'd promise to show you something at the end, and this is it. If you follow the link that I'm about to show you, then you will see Anthony Robinson himself talking through the 6 human needs, because it's a great it's a great short video of how he saves a marriage in just 8 minutes. And it's really important for me to put this one on here because it's about a man that's been clueless to his wife's needs and he's stuck in the horse trade get to give and he's withdrawn from her. And it shows how she's dealt with very different emotions to him, and basically she's not even in the audience. So this is an example of what we'll be going through the 6 human needs. And the way to get that is, and to view the video testimonial, is to go to this address here. So if you want to write it down, http://theloveschoolacademy.co.uk/offer-2-2/. Okay. If you do have any questions, do email me afterwards at louise@thelovelifeacademy.com. louise@thelovelifeacademy.com. You see my website down there, which says louisecox.com, www.louisecox.com. There's also, you can email me from there. I'm on Facebook, some of you might know that. And I've got your emails now from this as well. So any questions, let me go through the questions. We're bang on time because I was a little late starting because of the technical problems. I can see some have popped up. So let me just go through that. I've left the address on the screen so you can go along, and even if you're not sure about joining, go along to this link, thelovelifeacademy.co.uk/, put it in exactly like that in Google, otherwise it won't come up, and you will see exactly what's on offer for this. Let me just go through. There's so many, because we've come to the end now, I'm not going to be able to answer them all, but I'm going to select a couple. Okay, there's one here that it says, how is payment made? Payment is all made through PayPal. So if you click on the link to this, you'll see how to pay. It will say buy it now or whatever, and you click on that, and then basically you get PayPal. Next question says, access to me. Is there any possible way of having access to you during the course? Yeah, of course there is. We could discuss whether you want one-to-ones as well as the bootcamp. That's something we can discuss. But I would say definitely make the most of having this money offered to you right now. Start it. You've got access to me anyway. Feedback to me how you're getting on. And yeah, you know, we can discuss that as well. There is an extra added bonus which I'm going to go and put on the website as to, should I say, bucket level, which I'm creating, whereas you get, say, package number 1 is what I'm just offered. Package number 2 is with live sessions like that. Package number 3 is with an extra group session a month or whatever. So there are other packages that are being created. Okay, so yeah, that is the end of the evening now. So I am going to go because any other questions that I've not gone through, I will email the individual back who's emailed me, and basically that's it. Enjoy your evening, enjoy the rest of the sunshine. I won't keep you any longer, and again, thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed the webinar. Take care, and hope to speak to you or hear from you soon. Thanks. Bye for now.